I was just thinking about that. I mean, what is a heavy-hearted lecture? I mean, anyway, having a nice time, are we? Yeah. Well, put a stop to that. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is about collecting TV and radio memorabilia. That is the programs we all used to remember of the 50s and the 60s, and the toys and the little sort of mementos and things. But as some of you probably know, I have a heavyweight TV collection, camera collection at home. And believe me, the weight is getting heavier every day. So my wife suggested, well, why don't you collect something a bit lighter, a bit sort of more storable and look afterable. So I thought, well, what can I collect that's connected with TV and radio? Well, memorabilia, toys, mugs, plates, bits and pieces. So I thought, well, at my time of life, it might be a question of loss of memorabilia. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so collecting, right. This concerns places like eBay, boot sales, charity shops. And the first thing I came across in New York was this. NBC. Now we all know what that stands for, don't we? Nuclear, biological, chemical. Well, of course it's National Broadcasting Company. But you go on eBay and look for these, if you punch in NBC, you'll get rubber suits, gas masks. If you want into that sort of thing, it's great. But so be very careful. So NBC, National Broadcasting Company, this is a sort of a memento. I mean, it costs $14 for that. And that came from Rockefeller Center in October. It's got the little badges of the various sort of eras of NBC. How are you camera guys doing? Have you sorted out which is the close-up and which is the wide angle? Focusing all right? You're close-up, are you? Getting a dig in here. Anyway, that's something that you can find in current shops, like NBC, the Walt Disney shop, whatever. And they're not exactly old, and you may come across them on eBay and so on and so forth. So that's that one. So you have a mug. Would you like a cup of tea? Here, now, who in their right mind decided to make a teapot shaped like a television set? I mean, would you actually sit down at a board meeting and say, let us make a teapot in the shape of a television, and you can take off and you can pour out. And on top of it, you've actually got a copy of the Sunday Sport, and another mug, and a sandwich. So there we are. So it does say interlude, and it does say don't let the television get any hotter than 100 centigrade. All right? So there we are. Now you've had a nice cup of tea. You might like a smoke. There's your ashtray. Look at that. That is station KXLY, which is in Spokane, in America. It's an actual television station. And this was produced, I don't know why this was produced. I'm assuming it was either for the studio, where they left it in the reception area, or it was sold in the high street. It's metal, completely, and it's sort of coated. The camera itself is supposed to be an RCA TK30, but it's only got two lenses. Obviously, it's sort of cut down on the manufacturer. But again, that is an eBay purchase. I found this on eBay. That one, I can't remember, probably a boot sale. That was eBay. We're talking about 10 quid. Very nice little thing, that. And the next is, oh no, it's my lunch, sorry. Wrong one. Right, now, the latest thing in television, 3D. Everyone's going potty with 3D. I've got it here. I've got 3D in here. I've got a 3D TV studio in here. I have. Just show you. There you go. Right. Look at that. AR TV in there. All right. Vista screen. An eBay purchase. 30 quid, all right? But that's just a little novelty, and in fact, there's a packet of 10 television studio pictures, actually taken at ATV, actually taken at ARTV. And later on, if you want to have a look, the actual 3D-ness is quite good. I mean, it really does stand out. Anyway, Vista screen, hardly used. Excellent item. Now then, memory time again. And question time, and question time. What do we have here? Does anyone know? Is it on the screen? Can you get any closer? Here we go. Any idea who this may be? I tell you. Ah, yes. Shall I hold him up by his ears? Look. Mr. Turnip. That's right. This was, again, a 50s toy. Presumably produced for children. I mean, it's made of metal, very heavy. There were actually more strings attached. I've taken those off because, quite honestly, it just got a bit tatty when it was sitting up. Now, the interesting thing about these things is that this actually, I actually bought this in Lewes, I think in Lewes in Sussex. And very, very luckily, it came with this, which is, again, the most important item of collecting, is to get the box. So this is the box. This is Mr. Turnip, the children's favourite television puppet. Again, I ask you, why would anyone want to make a character out of a talking vegetable? This particular item was slightly damaged. The stalk bit on the top had come off. It was in the box, but I'd actually repaired it. So you can repair these things. I can ask you a few more questions about Mr. Turnip, and also the programme. Does anyone remember the programme it was in? Good amount of prize. There we are. There's the end of it. Pretty good. Right. Now, for your starter for 100, can anyone remember the name of the presenter of Whirligig? Another prize. Another prize. There we are, TV Mirror. You've got a good audience today. There we go. This is TV Mirror. This is Mr. Turnip. This is Humphrey Lestock. The question asked is, Humphrey Lestock, is TV wasting him? The answer, no. I only ever saw him on that programme. He was an actor, I believe, and he eventually ended up running either the lifeboat or a lighthouse somewhere. He became a sort of a nautical person, and he grew a beard. He died a long time ago, but that was that chap. Right, we've got rid of Mr. Turnip. Does anyone remember this character? Archie, you can speak up. Archie Andrews, there we are. Now, Archie Andrews, again, was a radio character, and Peter Brough, the ventriloquist, was about the only British ventriloquist on radio. Edgar McCarthy, I think his name was in America, but in this country it was Peter Brough. Now, Peter Brough wasn't the world's best cartoonist, best ventriloquist, and you could actually see his lips move. I mean, he would say things like, you know, what did you have for tea today, Archie? And Archie would say, a bottle of gear, you see. And then Peter Brough would say, but don't you mean a bottle of beer? And anyway, aren't you too young to drink? Bollocks. Thank you, Archie. Enough of that. Now, I actually remember seeing Peter Brough and Archie Andrews. They used to go theatre touring. And they took the show. They do these days. They take the radio or the television show on tour. Dad's Army, Heidi High. And it was the Peter Brough show. And Peter Brough would come on with the doll, of course, is much bigger than this, and sit down at a table to talk to Archie. But Brough also had a sort of large cigar in his hand at the time. And you think, well, this is not a very good thing for kids, you know, to smoke on stage. So he had this cigar. This is standing in for a cigar, by the way. And he would sit there with this dolly, and he would say, well, now, Archie, what did you do at school today? And as he spoke, the cigar would go to his mouth, and Archie would say, woodwork, you see. And the cigar would go off his mouth. And then the teacher, Brough would say, well, What exactly did the teacher teach you? Up goes cigar. How to get knotted. All right? So that was how he got round masking his inability to keep his lips sealed, as it were. And with a cigar, teaching everyone to smoke at a very early age. Anyway, Archie Andrews, you can still get these. These come in boxes as well. Either eBay or, I think I got this off eBay, or boot sales or shops. You'd probably have to pay about £100 one of these with a box. This doesn't have a box. Slightly annoyingly, it doesn't have the striped blazer which Archie Andrews used to have. There was a nice striped blazer. Why? It's got sort of rather tatty sort of bed thing on it. I don't know. Anyway, that's that one. Okay, right. Now again, talking about eBay, this is rather nice. Look, dinky toy. Now I puzzled myself why the Aerated Bread Company had a television company at the time. Joke, right. ABC Television, Associated British Corporation, or ABPT, Associated British Picture Corporation, as it really was, based in Manchester, Didsbury, had an OB outfit, Didsbury, next to the theatre there, the Capitol Theatre, and a lot of these were parked outside the OB. Now this particular one, as you can see, is in absolutely pristine condition, absolutely unmarked, as is the all-important box. That worries me a bit because it's very easy to reproduce these things. You can sort of, they actually sell reproduction boxes on eBay for a few quid. This doesn't look to me as if it's been repainted because there's these dyes and things, these little transfer things on there, which are quite difficult to reproduce. It could have been painted up. It's a little bit too silver on top. I think it is original. The box, I think, is original. £195 if you want to buy one of those. That's it. It also comes with, if the camera can pick that up, there's two little holes. So there's two little holes. There's a camera on a pedestal with a cameraman, which I haven't brought today. I have got it. And for some reason, two cables coming out, both going into the camera. Why this is, I don't know. They sort of jut into there. So it is complete. This, again, is dinky, highly sought after, some very valuable. I think one went on sale for about, I don't know, 100,000 or something stupid. But these particular ones, in very good condition, are worth about £200. And the actual vehicle, which I couldn't find out what it is, also stands in for the BBC. So they do a sort of a greeny-brown version as well as this blue version, exactly the same. So they sort of use the same mould, just painting with different colours. Anyway, there we are. That's that one. Now, bang the microphone, that's what we want. There are certain things you cannot get. You cannot buy them because they were never sold. You can't find them on eBay. You can't find them in boot sales, but you can possibly find them in antique shops. And I've got in here this. This is one of three, only three of these were ever produced, as far as I know, as far as I was told. This is, what it is, basically, is a Vinton gas pedestal from 1956. The camera is, again, approximately 56. It's a sort of EMI and a sort of Marconi camera. And it's got BBC TV on the side. I don't know whether you can pick that up. Yes, you can see that. That is the 60s BBC TV logo for cameras. This was produced, I think I was told, around about 1968, 69. Three were made. One was given to a BBC executive as a retirement present. One went to the Sports View personality, one of the Sports View personalities of the year for 1967. His name was George Moore. Can you pick this up? That's him receiving it. Can you see the picture there? He received that by the producer, and that is exactly the same model. You can see that there, look. Exactly the same, see it? And that is 1967. and he was a jockey. He was an international personality of the year, and he was the jockey. Very good picture, that. That's a very good frame-up. Excellent. So there we are. So that was that one. And the third one, this is the third one. Now, this one has got a very slight scratch on the side. You probably can't see it. It's a very slight scratch. There's no badging here, which is where the badges used to go around here. Nothing here at all. So I think this was probably taken away by the builder, the man who made it. He probably sold it, lost it. It ended up in Ramsgate in an antique shop. And a friend of mine bought it and then rather kindly sold it to me. And that's as far as we know. But anyway, this was made by a chap whose name I don't know, but apparently he was Polish. He worked at the BBC's mechanical workshops at Television Centre. All right? This is brushed brass. They obviously had nothing to do. And they have so much money, they spent it on this. Now, this is brushed brass. Things unscrew. I mean, the tiller comes off. Well, it will come off. There we are. The tiller comes off. Little threads. The domes come off. The lenses come off. Why? I don't know. There were quite a few of these copies of these other companies used to produce their own awards. I mean, there was the Seeing Sports, ATV Seeing Sports trophy was a similar thing with a sort of a Mark III, high Mark III camera. There was the good old, the Top Town trophy. That was another one of a similar type with a tripod, a pedestal and a camera on the top. But again, these you cannot buy. As I say, if you're lucky enough to find them, then obviously snap them up. But as they're so rare that you'll never come across them. I'm nearly finished actually. How long have I done? Half an hour. Well, I'm good, aren't I? Just timed it nicely. One other rare item. My book. A few copies left, only. If anyone's interested, there's a couple of copies left. I'll sign them. Anyway, there we are. So if you find anything of this ilk, they're easy, as I say, you can see they're easy to put into cupboards. I've got a little cupboard at home. You probably saw it in CQTV. It's a Victorian display cabinet. I put some sort of little strip lights inside, turn the lights on, everything's displayed nicely. One thing I haven't brought, which was a dead lucky item, it was a BBC microphone from 1942, and it was misdescribed. Certain things on eBay are misdescribed, and it was described as, funnily enough, as a World War I military microphone, which doesn't sound quite right, World War I. And it was a large moving coil STC microphone with an oak handle and the words LOOB, London OBs on it. A few hundred, 20 were probably made. You see them in the wartime pictures. They've got the BBC badges on. I bought that for £25 and it's worth about 1,000. You can get lucky. Thank you very much. That's all I've got to say.